Madam Chair, we are now live.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Wednesday, December 18th Accessibility Advisory Committee for the Town of Ajax. Due to current COVID-19 pandemic restrictions, we are unable to meet in person. Therefore, this meeting is being live streamed on the internet for all and anyone who are interested. All right, so let's get rolling for this evening. So I'm going to call the meeting to order. 1.1 on our agenda is a staff introduction, and I'm going to throw that over to Sarah.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you to the committee, I just wanted to take the opportunity to introduce you all to our new Diversity and Inclusion Coordinator. Ms. Natasha Sharma has joined the town, and she'll be sitting in on our meeting tonight. I think this is a great connection for the committee to have in terms of any future work plan items that we're interested in and sort of dovetailing with that broader diversity and inclusion lens where we might be able to collaborate and work on various initiatives. So I just wanted to toss it to Natasha to see if she had anything she'd like to say to the committee, but more so just to get to know her as we did with Mr. Terry earlier in the year.
Unmuted. Yes.
There you go.
The chair. Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be invited to this ACC meeting. Of course, my portfolio covers diversity and inclusion on many different levels and groups. One of those, of course, is very important, and that's diversity and inclusion and accessibility. So I'm just here to listen in tonight and to hear about the ideas and conversations or different initiatives that you have all commenced. And hopefully, eventually, there will be room for collaboration with D&I and accessibility together in the future. Thank you.
Thanks so much for joining us.
Welcome.
Thank you.
All right, moving right along. Item 2 on our agenda. Does anyone have a conflict of interest that they feel they need to declare this evening?
Madam Chair, point of clarification, Ray Smith. You accidentally said December 18th. I just want to clarify. You should have said December 16th meeting.
My apologies. Thank you, Ray. So,
no problem. Just for the record.
Thank you. For the record, anyone else who may be online with us, it is the Accessibility Advisory Committee for the Town of Ajax meeting for Wednesday, December the 16th. I've had a bit of a day, as seems to be the theme around here, so please forgive my misspeaking.
You're allowed.
Perhaps some of us wish it was further along in the month. Anyways, seeing no disclosure of conflict of interest, let's move on to the approval of meetings for November the 18th, 2020. Are there any, does anybody feel a need to point out any corrections or clarifications of those minutes? Okay, seeing none, can I please have someone to make move to adopt the minutes of November the 16th, 2020?
I do so move.
Okay.
Through the chair, sorry, Madam Chair, we're having technical difficulties hearing your volume.
Oh, I'm sorry.
There you go. You're back.
Oh, okay, perfect. Okay. Can I have a seconder, please?
A second. Ray Smith.
Okay. Let's then motion approval of minutes approved for this evening for November 16th, 2020. Moving into the presentation section of our meeting tonight, we have, excuse me, I have to lean a little in to see the agenda on my screen. We have 4.1 2020-2021 projects update from Andrew Jackson, landscape architect. Mr. Jackson, we haven't had you along to the meeting in quite a while, but we are very happy to welcome you back and hear about the initiatives for 2020-2021.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. It's my pleasure to be here tonight. I'm going to give you a presentation that in involves the review of some past projects and some projects that we had just completed this year, as well as some future projects. As a landscape architect with the town, my role is to be involved with design and construction of capital projects pertaining to parks and trails and special projects such as urban squares and things like that. I'm going to share my screen, and hopefully I'm successful doing that. Okay. I'm having some difficulty sharing my screen.
Through the chair, Andrew, we can see your screen.
What are you looking at the moment?
Parks and Trails Projects Update,
Okay.
PowerPoint slide. You just need to maximize it to your screen and you should be good to go.
Okay. Because that's not what I'm seeing here, but okay. So this is an update on the parks and trails over the last couple of years, including this year, and we'll be looking at some future projects as well. And it's a large file, so I'm hoping everything works fine. In the 2019, now what I like to do is I've come to this committee before and I've presented projects that we were about to do. So when I come to the next meeting, I like to look back at the projects that I presented and show you what they actually ended up looking like, because these were presented to you in the past. So 2019 projects involved, these are the 4 projects of the main concern. A couple of playgrounds and a large park, as well as a trail connection. These are where the projects are located in the town. So Horn Playground is in the northwest corner. We have the Peacock Parkette, which is a retrofit of an existing park. We also do a very small trail connection at Clemens, and as well as a large neighborhood park up in the new Duffin Central neighborhood. Horn Playground replacement was a replacement of an existing playground. The previous year, we put in a brand new splash pad just behind the image that you're looking at. The following year, in 2019, we went in and removed all of the old playground infrastructure and added brand new infrastructure with a drainage system and surfacing. The playground has accessible components to it, such as the molded swing. Peacock Parkette is located just north of the 401 on the west side of Westney. And it was a retrofit project where we went in and removed all the old infrastructure. We put in new walkways, new site furniture, new lighting, brand new playground equipment, seating areas, removed some of the old concrete and some of the old walkways. We also put in a new trail connection down to the Miller's Trail, which is just to the south of you. And again, we put in some various components to the playground, including a new drainage system and curbing with access, recess access down onto the accessible wood chip surface. We also provided a very small link. Oh, the image isn't showing up. We provided a small link at Clemens, the west end of Clemens Road for the trail system to allow users who are using the bicycle lane to travel at the dead end through the boulevard over to the Duffins Trail. We put in tactile plates, concrete paving, and an accessible link over to the trail so that the trail system is linked. The 4th project is the large neighborhood park located up off of Standardville, northwest corner of the town. So it's north of Roslyn, west of Church. This was a large neighborhood park with a soccer pitch, internal walkway, playgrounds, basketball court, parking, lights, landscaping. This is one of the park projects where we have incorporated an internal walking trail so that you're in a perfectly safe environment, all of which is at very low gradient and very accessible. The playground equipment, again, we have various low-lying components to the playground. We have a low, mid-height, and a little higher for multiple types of uses. We also have such things as molded swings and small components that are easily accessible. The 2020 projects, so the projects we've just been working on over the year, quite a challenging year. And there's quite a few of these. I do want to make note that not all of these projects are mine, and I have noted on each one of these of the staff person who's responsible or the project manager for that particular project. One of the projects that's just been completed is a series of 3 parkettes at Mulberry Meadows, which is at the southwest area of Roslyn and Audley, the new Sundial subdivision. There's a storm pond in there. We put in 3 parkettes around the perimeter of that storm pond, one of which is a playground. Dennis O'Connor Park retrofit. We did some work at the Dennis O'Connor Park, which is just east of Dennis O'Connor High School. We relocated the old playground to the north and resurfaced the walkways and whatnot. Roslyn Road walkways, Church Street Bridge and Trail. I'll get to each of these in a little bit more detail. So these are the projects for 2020. Mulberry Meadows Parkettes. And I was afraid of that. Some of these images are not showing up. I'm not really sure why. I think it might be the size of the presentation. The Mulberry Meadows Parkettes, we just finished the construction and we put in a brand new playground, walkways linking to the Crothers Trail system, and various components such as slides, molded swings, lights, seating areas, accessible access from the paved areas down into the playground. We also put in a seating area at the second parkette and a landscape area at the third parkette. Dennis O'Connor Park retrofit, I just touched on briefly. We relocated the old playground, which was annually and constantly underwater. It is located in a storm pond, and we've removed all that old infrastructure and put it up on high ground, put brand new equipment in, put new walkways, new seating areas, lighting. We removed one section of asphalt trail, which was constantly being undermined by water, and resurfaced some of the other trails. So all of it is at slight low gradient, brand new paving. We have access to all these different features. Again, we have various levels of playground use, and again, we put in some molded swings. Our staff member, Mr. Boyle, has worked on a number of crossing points. This one is at Roslyn Road, which is at Roslyn and Church. This is linking to the new bridge to the north. Painted lines, access for cycling, tactile plates, new paving. Just to the north of that intersection is a brand new bridge that crosses the Duffins Creek. Again, Mr. Boyle worked on this project as the engineering inspector. The asphalt walkway you're looking at, if you do a 180 and look south, you'll be looking towards those crosswalks that we were just, or the crossings that we were just looking at in the previous slide. All brand new accessible walkways that will eventually link right up to Greenwood Conservation Area. It currently stops just to the north of here. However, the plans are to continue all the way up Church Street as Church Street gets redeveloped. Down at Paradise Park along Lakeview Boulevard, the pavement is being resurfaced as part of that project. Mr. Solomon is working on the twinning of the trail, the next phase of the twinning of the trail. So we're splitting the users between wheeled access and pedestrian access. We already started that 2 years ago, and we're continuing with that project through this waterfront trail, waterfront area. These are images of the project under construction today. They weren't taken today, but this is approximately what it looks like now. Along the west side of Westney Road, just north of the 401, we've added a brand new pedestrian connection up into the subdivision from the sidewalk, which gives all the residents in that area access down, which gives us better connections to such things as the GO train and to the sidewalks. Again, very accessible, the lowest grading that we could provide along that slope. And then there's various various locations around town for pedestrian signals that have been upgraded. Mr. Solomon has worked on that. So Harwood and Emperor, Harwood and Clements, Farrell and Doughty, Audley and Williamson. So we've got brand new APS at these intersections. I'll move on to the projects that we're anticipating for 2021. We've got a couple that are quite interesting and exciting. We are looking at putting in the boardwalk along the Waterfront Trail, which is just west of Rotary Park. Roland Missioner Parkette will be retrofitted and upgraded. The washroom will be going in at Paradise Park. There's a small walkway at West Glen. There'll be improvements to the town hall. Hartwood House will have some improvements made. The McLean Community Center will have some improvements, and we'll continue with the pedestrian lights program. Rotary Park Boardwalk is a project that has just been approved and passed by council. We are extending the existing bridge that crosses the mouth of the Duffins Creek. We are extending it as a boardwalk across the existing spit, and it will be going to the east shore of the Duffins Marsh, and we'll be connecting with Rotary Park. Very slight gradients, very accessible, far easier for the users to use. It'll be up off the sand. It is actually the last section of the Waterfront Trail that is not paved. It will now be raised and similar to the bridge boardwalk structure that's there now. So it's a pretty exciting project that will be underway as early as possible in the winter of 2021. Roland Missioner Park, which is off of Ritchie, just east of Westney. This park will be retrofitted. So most of what you see here will be removed. We will be putting in new seating areas for the users, new playground equipment, lighting. We may also be putting in some older adult fitness equipment where we've put in a request for funding as a grant for that new infrastructure. Paradise Park washroom, we were given direction by council to put in a prefabricated smart washroom, which means that it will be self-cleaning. It will be a double unit. It will be remotely controlled and fully accessible. This is an image of what it is going to look like, fingers crossed. The washroom building is approximately where it's shown in this colored plan, just between the parking lots, online with the gazebo. It'll be off a little bit to the west. It will have concrete and asphalt paving around it. There'll be site furniture, lighting, and the units will be fully accessible washroom units. There's a little walkway connection at the old Westney house off Westney, which is part of the development of that whole subdivision. We will be creating a pedestrian link from Westney over to Alden Square. Mr. Solomon will be looking at some improvements to the town hall, which will include resurfacing of the parking lot. We'll be doing AODA compliant parking spaces, curb depressions, tactile plates, LED lighting. Hartwood House, which is west of Church, south of Roslyn. We will be putting in a new patio, stamped concrete patio, removing the old deck and putting in accessible ramps to that patio so that we can have a little bit more of an access to the outside from the meeting room inside the house. And Ms. Raghunathan will be working on brand new accessible change rooms at the McLean Community Center. There's some images here. This is a project obviously next year, so we don't have anything to show you other than some graphic images. So all of the change rooms will be upgraded and family change areas and fully accessible. And we will continue through Mr. Solomon's work to upgrade our pedestrian signal controls, APSs, throughout the town, and there's a list of the different intersections where that work will be undertaken. And there's one more thing I would add. Sarah and I have been working in the last probably 2 months, I would say, in upgrading all of the town standards to be so that they would become AOD compliant. So when you go on the website, if you're a consultant or somebody who's interested in the town standards, they've all been upgraded, and the communications office is in the middle of uploading those new files to the system. And I'd be happy to take any questions.
Like, wow, you've been busy.
So,
It's
Julius,
a lot of work.
Madam Chair, it's Councillor Khan. I'd like to make a few comments, please.
Absolutely.
Shall I proceed?
Absolutely. Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm only speaking because I know it's probably difficult for you to see when we raise our hands. So
I appreciate that, Councillor Khan.
I'll encourage our colleagues to follow suit. Please just say your name when you want to say something. Thank you, Madam Chair. Andrew, Mr. Jackson, thank you so much for that wonderful presentation. And that's a lot of work you guys have done. With these parks that you've retrofitted, and it's named after, like, for example, the Peacocks, do we get any kind of subsidy for this, or this comes out of our capital budget?
This all comes out of our capital budget program.
Fair enough. That's good enough. And about the self-cleaning washroom. So just for the committee's information, Mayor Collier and I were at AMO in Ottawa last year, probably the last one we've had before COVID hit. And we stumbled onto those washrooms, and we were very impressed. Now, staff were a bit skeptical about it because it's new and it might be a challenge to have it done. But we wanted to take a chance and see what we can get out of this, because it looks pretty much foolproof, and we were worrying about the maintenance of it. But I think that I think it's a great savings for the town. I can tell you that it's saved from what was proposed to be built to what we're putting in right now. It's going to be great savings, and you have to see the durability of it. But I think that it's pretty manageable. So I'm excited about seeing that as well. So, anyways, I just wanted to commend you and your team, Andrew, for all the hard work you've done. Love having you on board, and thank you so much. And thank you, Madam Chair.
You're welcome.
Ask a quick question. What exactly is a self-cleaning washroom? How does that work?
So it's basically it's a remote system that we have access through a laptop anywhere in the town or abroad, so staff can have access to the washroom. What happens is that a user will go in the washroom and lock it and use the washroom. There's a sink, there's a toilet, there's a cleaning dispenser, soap, hand dryer, all the things you would normally find. When you're finished with it, you exit the washroom, and then on occasion, I believe it's after every use, but that may not be correct. It may be after several uses. I off the top of my head, I can't recall, but it actually will flush through. So water will flush through the interior of the washroom and clean everything. So the toilet, the sinks, everything will be flushed through and washed, and then it'll stop and dry out and then be ready for use again. It's also got it's got a sensor system, so that if there's somebody hiding in there, the staff would be notified. It's like a heat sensor, so you don't have to worry about people being in it, because it will know. And what else can I say about that? We can control the locks. We can control when it's open, when it's closed. Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, but I think what's great about this is the timing, because when we found these washrooms, it was pre-COVID, and now that there's COVID now, it's going to save so many risks of infections, and from our staff especially, who would have to actually go in and physically clean these washrooms. Now they will be self-cleaned, so I think it was perfect timing for that.
Yes.
Can I ask a question? How do you self-clean them? Like, is it that the toilet automatically flushes, or is it there's a big shower overhead and it just wipes everything inside and cleans it all?
That's right.
What are we talking about?
No,
I'm trying to visualize it.
You would flush toilets, you would turn on taps like a normal washroom, but once you leave, it's like a shower. There's water that comes up from underneath the edges of the floor, and I believe from above, and it showers everything, washes it, and it drains out.
Wow. Okay.
They
Thank
brought
you.
an example of one to the to the operations center, and they also brought the same structure down to the town hall for council and
Okay.
staff to review and see it. And it's quite an incredible system.
Sounds it. Yes. Thank you.
Ray Smith has a question. I love these self-cleanable washers. Can we have them in our houses as well? That sounds good. My goodness. I'm going to ask a selfish question. In fact, two selfish questions. You said upgraded traffic lights. I live near Church and Highway 2. I know you said there was a list, but I'm phoning, of course, by phone. But is Church and Highway 2 on that list? And also, has Westney and number 2, Highway 2, been upgraded? I don't know.
I'll just go through my list. This
If you
was
don't
Mr.
mind.
Coleman's project to manage. I don't see. Did you say Westney and Highway 2? Well,
my main intersection, but I go again. Selfish question. Church and Highway 2.
Church and Highway 2. Okay.
And yeah, that's not really the main one. As I said, selfish me.
I don't see that particular intersection on the list, but that doesn't mean that it's not there for the next year. I don't have access to that information.
Okay. Again, selfish question, but thank you.
It's never selfish.
Because I can't see to get across.
Ray, have you submitted a request for those to be done?
No, that's a good question.
So can I tell you how to do that?
Yeah, please. Yeah.
So you would do you know Lori Melanson, right?
I've just was talking to her today. Yes.
Okay. So let Lori know.
Okay.
And your requests, and then Lori knows the right people to disseminate the requests to, and it gets put on the list.
And just for FYI to the group, Laura Melson is the mobility instructor or mobility specialist, I guess, for Durham region. Good. Thank you, Julia. Appreciate it.
Do you have any other questions for Mr. Jackson this evening? Okay. Andrew, thank you so much for being with us. Your team has been extraordinarily busy in what has been an extraordinary year. Looks like you have a full schedule for this coming year too. We look forward to hearing all about it next year.
Yes, I'll definitely come back with the completed projects to show you for this coming year, as well as some future projects for 2022.
Well.
Need the agenda back up on the screen, please.
Madam Chair, we're losing you on audio again.
Okay, I'm sorry. Is that better? Is that better at all?
Perfect.
Hello? Better?
Yes, that's definitely better.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm not sure what's going on with my computer then. Thank you for putting the agenda back up. I'll just be really close to the screen so I can talk to you. That's all. Moving on to item 4.2, we have a presentation this evening from the Durham Scarborough Bus Rapid Transit Program. It's their preliminary designs for the town of Ajax. We are welcoming tonight Kristen Demasi, Senior Planning Officer, Planning and Policy from Metrolinx, as well as David Hopper from Metrolinx and Mathieu Gwetsky. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, from Metrolinx. We're looking forward to hearing about this project that you are doing for Metrolinx to update the transit lanes. So please go right ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thanks to the committee for inviting us tonight. I'm Kristen, and Matthew can't make it tonight, so it'll just be myself and David Hopper. So today we just wanted to give everybody an update on the Durham Scarborough BRT project, and of course answer any questions that the committee has. Could we go to slide 3, please? So just, kind of a high level sort of intro. This is the corridor that we're talking about is, it's between downtown Oshawa and through into Toronto, into Scarborough Town Centre. It is a corridor as part of the Metrolinx 2041 frequent rapid transit network, which is under our regional transportation plan. So, the idea is to provide the connections both within Durham region to the City of Toronto, as well as improve transit connections to other lines like Lakeshore East, the TTC subway, and, future priority bus routes, within Durham region run by DRT. So it's also a key component of the Durham Transportation Master Plan and the Scarborough Centre Master Plan in the City of Toronto. Next slide, please. So the actual scope is we're looking at dedicated bus lanes between Simcoe Street in downtown Oshawa and into Scarborough Town Centre, and also connecting the DRT Pulse service, which today terminates at UTSC, but as part of this project will extend into into Scarborough Town Centre. And so you can move to number 5. So why BRT? This corridor is experiencing significant growth. We know that like a dedicated rapid transit is needed to serve the community and improve those connections between Toronto and Durham and employment opportunities across the corridor. Really the key objective is we're increasing capacity as well as improving transit reliability along the entire corridor. So we had published an initial business case in 2018, and we found a lot of benefits to the project, a lot higher ridership, travel time savings, as well as economic benefits to the region. So these are the benefits that are being refined as part of this phase of work, and we'll be providing an updated business case as well as the preliminary design in early in the new year. Next slide, please. And so just on to sort of some specific benefits and, relevant to Ajax is that as part of these corridors, you do see certainly an increased choice in mobility and improved accessibility for people along the corridor. There's that certainty around bus reliability for DRT services. And also we're improving sort of the active transportation infrastructure, better sidewalks, improved cycling infrastructure, improved public realm, and of course opportunities for streetscaping and tree planting. So I'm going to hand off to David Hopper to walk you through sort of the preliminary design and some specifics around accessibility.
Great. Thank you, Kristen, and thank you to the committee for inviting us to this very festive meeting. So the project schedule, there's a number of studies that have happened before this that have led to this project that date back as far as 2008 when Metrolinx published the big move onto how they were going to improve transit for the entire Greater Golden Horseshoe Hamilton area. The Durham Pulse service launched in 2013. The Durham Master Plan and the new 2041 Regional Plan have built on things as well as the original business case. And so we were retained to work with Metrolinx to look at the next stage, which is taking it to a more detailed design stage to update the costing and the benefits analysis, to complete the preliminary design, complete the business case, and then move into a full environmental assessment under the provincial regulations. So it will be a Class EA under the TPAP process. That will give the region and the municipality certainty as to what the design looks like, and will allow the region and the municipalities to seek funding from the provincial and federal governments, as well as if there's any land that needs to be acquired, the EA helps set out the process for doing that. At the end of the EA, which is likely going to be finished towards the end of 2021, the region will then move into detailed design and then move into construction and commissioning, probably starting in the summer of 2022. And then the whole service should be up and running about 3 to 4 years after that, depending on how quickly the funding flows and how quickly the construction can happen. The next slide, please. So we have had 2 rounds of public consultation. The last round was about a year ago. We're now in the 3rd round, which I'll touch on in a few minutes. But in the 2nd round, we had 6 events along the corridor, 1 in each municipality, different times of the day, different kinds of locations. We had a significant number of people come and sign in, and we also got a lot of feedback online. There was general support for the solution. There were some concerns that were raised about they were glad to see an improvement in reliability and connectivity for public transit. The system is going to be fully accessible and meet all of the AODA requirements. There will be improved safety for the road users when buses are in their own lanes and not mixing with general traffic. As Kristen mentioned, opportunities to improve the public realm along the corridor, active transportation in parallel with it. Introducing bus lanes in the middle of the road and medians down the center will have some change to the way people access driveways and side streets along the corridor, but we believe there is a very easy solution to that. And there were also some concerns that we will be seeing increased traffic congestion and infiltration in local neighborhoods. What we are seeing, though, is that the intent of this project is to maintain the existing number of car lanes and add lanes for the BRT. So we're not taking away road capacity. There are a couple of pinch point areas along the corridor that we're going to touch on where there just isn't enough room in the road allowance to do everything we want to do. So we'll just walk you through some of the trade-offs that we've made in that particular area, particularly the Pickering Village area in Ajax. Next slide, please. So some of the details here on the preliminary design, and then the next slide. So there are 47 stops along this 36-kilometer route. So they'll be spaced a little bit further apart than some of the existing bus stops on local routes, about the same spacing as you see on the Durham Pulse today. The intention of having them spaced every 600 to 800 meters is to try and reduce the number of times the bus needs to stop along the route. We know that it's a double-edged sword. The more stops we have, the slower the service operates, the fewer stops, the faster it operates, but fewer stops means fewer people. So we have a trade-off. So we've looked at making sure we connect with all of the perpendicular bus routes, we connect with all of the major destinations along the corridor. And so in some cases, in some areas like around Highway 412 and around the Rouge River Valley, the stops are further apart. And in downtown areas, the stops are closer together. Next slide. So specifically for the town of Ajax, we have gone through a number of iterations and a number of solutions. And what we're settling on are 3 separate zones within the town and 3 slightly different solutions depending on that area. So area number 1, starting at the west end from Notion Road as far as Elizabeth Street, will be widening to add dedicated transit lanes. So going from a 4-lane roadway to a 6-lane roadway. That does also include replacing or widening the bridge over Duffins Creek. Between Elizabeth Street and Rotherglen is one of our pinch points. So this is a historic downtown. It's an older area. The houses are quite close to the street. There's the historic center just west of Church Street. So we've come up with a fairly innovative solution here to balance both the heritage buildings, St. George's Cemetery on the south side of the corridor, and the narrow street. And that is actually a 5-lane roadway. So in effect, there would be 2 eastbound lanes for general traffic. There would be 2 bus lanes in the middle and 1 westbound car lane on the north side of the road. And the reason we can do that is that in the morning, there is less traffic westbound on Highway 2 than there is in the evening coming home. So our traffic analysis is showing that we can get away, or we can manage all of the traffic with one westbound lane and 2 eastbound lanes. East of Rotherglen, the roadway opens up a little bit more. There are a couple of spots where it's a little bit tight, but generally the road is a little bit wider. And the solution there is to have center running BRT lanes with 2 lanes of general traffic on the outside in each direction. And then when we get both to the boundary with Pickering at Notion Road and the boundary with Whitby at Lake Ridge Road, the median bus lanes would continue on into the other municipalities. So we get a nice continuity of service all the way across the region. The stops are also listed here. So we have a stop at Notion, we have a stop at Church, which for some reason is missing on this slide. Rotherglen, Westney, Ritchie, Harwood, Salem, Galea, Alexander's Crossing, and then Lake Ridge Road. So there's a good distribution of stops across the region, across the town here. Can I have the next slide, please? So to give you an idea, this is an aerial photograph of Kingston Road looking east. Church Street running left to right across the photo. You can just see Old Kingston Road separating from Kingston Road in the middle of the photograph. So this is the situation today. And the next slide is our rendering of what it could look like in the future. So we see there is some road widening. We are holding the north side of the road constant because that is the Heritage Conservation District to the northwest. And there are some buildings on the northeast that are very close to the road. We know that the southeast corner is currently under redevelopment, and the new building going in there will be set back about 8 meters further than it is today. So we have room for the widening there. The challenging part that we're still sorting out is there are a few heritage buildings in the southwest corner that are in the way, and we're looking at some options, including moving those buildings a little bit further south to line up with the development on the southeast corner and giving them the same relationship to the street that they have today, but allowing us to squeeze in the extra lane to make this all work. So we do get past, we don't touch the cemetery. We have a limited impact on the north side, but none of the buildings. We take away some land that is around some of the parking in the back of some of the buildings that front on the south side of Old Kingston Road. But given the balance of making sure that this gives good priority to transit riders, and we're seeing excellent numbers with these bus lanes. We're seeing an improvement of between 25 and 35% in terms of reducing the travel time and reliability along the corridor. We're also seeing that this will more than double the ridership on this route, which is already the busiest in Durham region. So we believe that the trade-off here that we've made is a reasonable accommodation for all of the needs in the community. And part of our third round of consultation, obviously, is being here with you tonight, and we'll talk more about the other parts of the plan in a moment. Can see the next slide, please. So this is down a little more at street level. So as I mentioned, this stop is fully accessible. So we will, we're looking at actually raising the platforms so that they're level with the bus floor, so that we don't have to deploy the ramp for people who need a level step access onto the bus. So that will speed up boarding and alighting for everybody who needs extra help. There'll be a ramp, an accessible ramp at the end that takes you down. Every one of the stops on the service is at a signalized intersection. So you will have a fully controlled intersection to be able to get to and from these stops that are at the island. As was mentioned earlier, with the upgraded traffic signals, we would be upgrading all of the traffic signals at the stops, so they would be fully accessible. There'll be next bus announcement signs at the stop, so you know when the next vehicle's arriving. There will be a designated accessible waiting area, signage, off-board fare collection, so you can tap your Presto card before you have to get on the bus, which means we can use all of the doors of the buses to board and alight passengers. So the idea is to have stops that are fairly contemporary looking, a fair amount of glazing so that you can see who's in the stop or see where you're going when you get off the bus. We'll also make sure that the outside edge that is against the general traffic has a concrete barrier up to at least waist height to protect passengers from car traffic. And so we're looking at a whole suite of features to make sure that these are very practical stations. Some of you may be familiar with the Viva service on Highway 7 and Davis Drive in Newmarket. So it would be very similar to that with the red asphalt BRT lanes in the middle of the road. The stops won't be quite as large, but a very similar idea of a more friendly and comfortable waiting zone while you wait for the next BRT vehicle, which we think will be running about every 5 minutes during rush hour and every 10 minutes or so in the off-peak hours. So a real increase in service. You can see the next slide, please. So as I did touch on it, we are looking to apply the most stringent of whichever codes are in place. So the AODA obviously is the major code, but we're also looking at the Ontario Building Code. The City of Toronto has their own accessibility guidelines, which in some cases are slightly more stringent than AODA. And Metrolinx is now developing a set of universal design standards for all of their services. And in some instances, some of those standards are slightly more restrictive than AODA as well. Additionally, we're looking at what's called CPTED, or crime prevention through environmental design. So we're looking to make sure that as you are approaching the intersection, you have a clear view into the stop to see if there's anybody else there. As you cross the road and enter into it, you continue to have a view. And while you're waiting for the vehicle, you have a clear view of the vehicles approaching, and you can see out to the surrounding environment to keep tabs on what's happening around you. You see the next slide, please. So this is one of our architectural renderings. It is a little bit light. The intention here is not to make the stations nearly invisible, but really at this stage, we don't know exactly what materials will be used or what colors will be used. So we've kept it more to give you an idea of the size and shape. So it would be a very contemporary flat roof. We'd have as much glazing as possible in addition to the safety issues along the backside. We are looking in Durham Region as well as having some glazing on the bus side, so that the only access from the platform out to where the buses are would be at designated spots that line up with the bus doors, where we would have yellow tactile warning tile to tell people where to line up and where to expect the edge of the platform. Can you see the next slide, please? So this is more of a rendering of the stop looking down its length, so you can see the bus approaching. You'd have a very clear view of the bus as it approaches. The yellow tactile warning is there, and all of the other features. So we are looking at level boarding in order to reduce and make it a zero-step access onto the vehicles. Where we can, we're providing a 4.2 meter wide platform. In some places, it's a little bit narrower at 3.6. Each of the stops would have a name on them so that people who are approaching it know what the stop is named, and people on the buses can see the name of the stop to know where to get off. And as well, there'll be sheltered waiting areas on the platform so that on days like today, you can get a little bit of shelter from the cold, and in July, you can get a little bit of reprieve from the heat. You see the next slide, please. So we are looking at the minimum 1,800 meter unobstructed path of travel, 2,000 millimeter turning radius. So we are following all of the OBC and AODA. We'll be looking at like non-slip concrete floors, contrasting tactile strips. The ramp colors will also be obvious to people who are crossing. All of the objects that are in the station will be set into the walls so that they don't create tripping hazards or are invisible to people with canes. So we make sure we have full cane detectability. There'll be benches and seating for people for mobility devices, as well as for people who are traveling with them, and benches with armrests for those who need assistance, both sitting down and standing up. So we are looking at the full suite of accessibility features to make sure that these are as accessible as they can be. See the next slide, please. So as I mentioned, each of these stops is at a signalized intersection. So as you approach, there will be warning, or there'll be the typical pedestrian crossing signs. So you wait for your turn. We'll see we have the steel plate with the tactile warning at the curbside. You can also see in the bottom photograph as the woman is getting out to the platform, towards her left, there's actually a small island that will actually protect the end of the platform. So if you need to cross this street in 2 stages because the road is too wide, or you come off the bus and you need to wait, you have a protected zone at the end of the ramp where you're feel safer and are protected from general traffic. Once you get out there, there'll be the accessible ramp with railings to take you up onto the platform. And again, we are making sure that all of the crosswalks and all of the slopes are all within the guidelines of AODA. The next slide, please. So as Kristen mentioned, we are also looking at improving active transportation. So we want to give people options to either travel further to get to the stop, or occasionally get off one stop early and walk a little bit further for a little more exercise. Or in some cases, use either the sidewalks or the cycle facilities to be in lieu of taking a bus trip at certain times of the year, or to encourage people to be more active along the corridor. So we're looking at filling in gaps, improving connectivity. Within Pickering Village, we're also looking at making sure the sidewalks are slightly wider. Right now they are below standard. So we will be upgrading as much of this as possible to full AODA standards. See the next slide, please. So this sort of gives an idea of where we are providing new facilities, where we are still looking at some options. When we get into the pinch point areas like downtown Whitby and like Pickering Village, the cycling facilities will go on to parallel streets because there isn't enough room right in the main roadway. But everywhere where the buses, where the cycling facilities are separated from the BRT, they would be clearly marked and signed so that you can have a continuous pathway across the region. See the next slide, please. So a little more detail here in Ajax, and unfortunately it's still a little hard to see, but we will circulate the presentation for people to have a look at. So we are looking at a combination of on-street and parallel street services. In all cases, the cycling facilities are not at the asphalt level of roadway, but are behind the curb and are raised to sidewalk height. So that takes away some of the potential issues that people see with cycling along a roadway and a car moving over into the cycling facility. You will be on, if you're on a bike, you will be above the curb height, so that you use the curb as an extra protection and separation from other road vehicles. You see the next slide, please. So as I mentioned earlier, we are in the 3rd round of public consultation. So we have a fair amount of information posted online, and we're doing a lot of Zoom chats. Obviously, face-to-face meetings are not possible right now. So we opened the consultation on November the 16th, and it will remain open for the public to review and provide comments until January the 10th. There's a number of videos on the site to give you an overview of things before you dive into some of the details to help understand what we're presenting. There's online survey by municipality, as well as a general question and answer. We have some frequently asked questions. We have email addresses, so you can get back to us either by filling out a questionnaire, by sending us an email. So there's all kinds of ways to get a hold of us. You could also go back through the committee chair for this group, and we would be glad to take any comments that way as well. And so the next slide. So our next steps after the consultation through the rest of the winter, we'll be fine-tuning the design based on the feedback we get through this consultation, finishing off our preliminary design business case to weigh the changes in the design and the cost to the benefits that are provided. We are now working as well on the draft environmental project report. We expect to launch the formal 185-day process it says early 2021. It might be slightly later into the spring. So that's a 120-day review by the agencies that have jurisdiction, a 30-day public review, and a 35-day ministerial review. We hope to have that all wrapped up before the end of the year. There will be a 4th round of consultation once we get into the EA to focus primarily on the environmental impacts, but also any changes to design that happen as a result of PIC3. So part of the corridor in Ajax is going to be done by the region, and it's done under the Investing in Canada Infrastructure Program. So there already are applications in for that funding. Metrolinx will also be working with Durham Region on securing provincial funding once we get a little bit further in the project. So I think that's the end of our formal presentation. If you have any questions, Krista and I would be glad to answer them for you.
I have one.
Sure.
Are you far enough ahead that there's some kind of a website that we can look at and get an idea of what your plans are?
Yes, so the website is up and running. It's metrolinxengage.com/DSBRT.
Metrolinx, sorry,
Metrolinx Engage,
Engage,
all one word,
yeah.
.com
Mm-hmm.
/ and then the nice little acronym for our project, DSBRT.
DSBRT.
So Durham Scarborough Bus Rapid Transit. Yeah.
Okay, that makes it easier. Thank you.
And then the email is dsbrt@metrolinx.com. So that will also be in the presentation that gets circulated.
Okay, thank you.
Ray Smith has a question and comment. I guess that's why they're not doing my church number Highway 2 lights. Now I know why. Question for you. I sit on the Ajax Age-Friendly Steering Committee. We just had one of the sections we do is transportation. We just had a wonderful presentation through DRT and Metrolinx, but we never got. Some people were asking about transportation from Ajax to Scarborough. Now I know why. I guess it's too late to do a presentation to our other group, this committee, because I think that would be very valuable. If not, through the chair, if Sarah could send some information to, I can't remember her name, the chair of the committee, the transportation committee, I think that would be great.
So certainly, we could at least provide copies of this presentation to that group as well. Or we could think about coming out and meeting with that group sometime in the new year. Yeah, we could do that as well.
That would be great. Now, I'm a little confused. I can't see your presentation, but now are you talking from, I know if you go Highway 2, I live in a village, but go east, they have their bus lanes and all that. Are you telling, will you revamp that to have this kind of like the islands?
Yes, so the curb lanes have been installed in parts of Ajax and part of Pickering, and those were designed to eventually be converted to median bus lanes when this project came along. So all that design work is done, so we don't have to go through the whole construction process again. There is a little bit of work to be done, but they were all planned with the idea that eventually they would be in the middle of the road. And then
so great idea.
Will be the last sections that are done.
Perfect.
So we'll do the sections that don't have any dedicated lanes yet, and then when we get towards the end of the project, we'll convert the curb lanes to median lanes.
Perfect. That's great. Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
Are the bus shelters, by looking at the picture, they're on the north side of the two lanes?
So the stops are located at the far side of the intersection. So as the buses approach the middle of the road, they will go through the traffic light and then stop at the stop that's on the far side of the intersection. So the westbound stop will be on the west side of the intersection, and the eastbound stop will be on the east side of the intersection. And what that does is the bus will be talking to the traffic signals. And so the signal will be held so the bus can get through, and then they'll stop at the stop on the far side. People will get off the bus, people will get on the bus, and then the bus can go without having to wait for the traffic light to change again.
Okay. Now,
wow.
How, I'm sorry, I just don't get on the picture how you get from the median to the south side of the lane, like the.
So the bus stop is sort of parallel to the road, and then there will, off the end of the stop, there will be a ramp to take you down to the crosswalk, and you will use the crosswalk at the traffic light to get you across the traffic lanes and out to the curb.
Okay. I'll have to look at the your pictures online because I'm not getting it and it doesn't seem accessible.
Well, so there is, we're showing the two images here on the one slide, but there is on the website, there's about 12 images that walk you through the whole process from getting from the curb all the way to the bus. So it's a little clearer on there, but it has been used in York Region on the Viva service. And so it's very successful at making these stations fully accessible.
Okay, one other question I have is the GO bus has never had an accessible stop at the Scarborough Center, unless that is changed now.
So our project ends just short of that because the Toronto Transit Commission is looking at an extension of line 2 up to Scarborough Town Center. So they're designing a whole new subway station and a whole new bus terminal. And my understanding is that new bus terminal will be fully accessible, all of the stops.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, do we have any other questions this evening?
I have one similar, but I'm off a little bit on where. Can I try my question?
Sure, go right ahead. Yep.
Okay. I used to be in Pickering Village, and a couple years ago I moved to Bailey and Harwood. The roads there and the sidewalks and getting across any of those streets, it's really, really bad. You come along and suddenly there's a lamppost and you have to go off to the left and the ramps don't line up. It's a real mess. Are you the guys that would look into this type of thing, or am I in the wrong place?
Well, for this particular corridor along Highway 2 along Kingston Road.
Yeah, I realize that's completely different. I got that.
That's what we're working on. And so, yes, for our corridor, we are looking at all of those kinds of issues to make sure ramps line up with sidewalks go straight across the road. We don't have telephone poles in the middle of sidewalks. All of those kinds of issues are being dealt with. For issues outside this corridor, that's not really our project. You'd have to take that back to the town.
Okay, will do, because it is a first-class mess there. Trying to get across those roads is absolutely ridiculous, and I'd be happy to take somebody for a ride.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that we did over the years that we look back on and kind of shake our heads. We know a lot better now, but you know, as my grandfather always used to say, it's going to be a great city when we finish building it.
Yeah, but you're tearing it apart again. Anyway, thank you.
You're welcome.
So Sarah, can you put me on to somebody?
Through the chair, yes. If you provide those informations to myself by email, I'll make sure that they get to the appropriate department.
All righty. Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Okay. Thank you so very much for coming and presenting to us this evening. I have learned a great deal about what transit is going to look like through this process over the next coming years, and it's really exciting to see what's going to be happening. So on behalf of the committee, I thank you so much for joining us this evening and sharing your plans for this corridor in the town of Ajax.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy holidays, everybody.
You too.
That's you too.
Bye.
Okay, we are now moving on to item 5, which would be correspondence. Do we have any correspondence this evening?
Through the chair, Sarah speaking. The only reminder I have to put out there is I believe an email was circulated regarding a joint project with the province and the city of Pickering regarding service and support animals. And there was a survey for anyone who's interested in taking part. There is a larger innovation lab type conversation workshop series that is taking place. So if that is something of interest to you, please let me know and I can connect you with the project leads to see if you can be further involved in the project.
Item 6, Councillor Khan, do we have an update from council this evening? Councillor Khan.
That came around really quick. I was trying to find my mouse to get my mute off. Yeah. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Great to see you all. This is going to be my last update to this wonderful committee, and I'm pretty sad. But again, you will.
Us too.
Yeah, thank you. I will be replaced by someone a lot better, a lot of compassion in Councillor Bauer, and you will absolutely love her. The updates today is just about our holiday season. We were doing this toy and food drive for our residents who were a bit challenged. And I'm very, very proud to say, with the help of all residents, today we delivered 7 truckloads of food and toys. 7 truckloads of food and toys to the organizations who were the recipients that will distribute them. So that's the residents of Ajax. It's very I get emotional thinking about how generous the residents of Ajax are, and how grateful I am to be living in the greatest country in the world. I think I can say that. And with that, to the other part, so all councillors, what we did, we reached out to our streets and we gave them flyers and we asked them to put whatever they can on their porch so we can be COVID free and be responsible. And we were all taking that morning off on Friday, and we were all driving around, all the councillors, and loading up our vehicles with whatever our neighbors want to give, and we will directly take those to the Salvation Army, and they can distribute more and have it. So we expect surely another truckload that we're gonna I just wanna commend Ajax and everybody, all you guys, for what we do, what Ajax does. The second part, I just want to remind you that if you go online, we have our we call it, Natasha, can you help me with the name, the light up that we have going on? Put a pin up where so you
Marion Bright.
Marion Bright, there you go.
There you go, Sarah. Yeah, so Marion Bright, you go online and you can see all the nice places that are lit up for this holiday season, and you can plan your route and you can go with your family for a drive or a walk and go and see this on your own. And if your house is lit up, you can also like do a pin drop and have your house registered there online, and people can come and see your beautiful decor. You might look as sparkly as I am, and I should probably do a pin drop where I am because I'm so lit up right now. So yeah, with that, but all of that, I went to my desk yesterday, and there were so many treats and gifts there, and I didn't open them because I want to do it with you guys when we're done. So what do we have after the update from council?
Update from external committees. Then we have other. How about after the adjournment, or do you want to do it while we're live streaming?
Other business. So, but anyways, those are my counts. It's all a bit emotional about it, and I'm very, very, very proud and grateful for this committee and for the town that we live in, and you all should be too as well. Okay, thank you. That's my update.
Councillor Khan, I think I can speak for all of us. We are greatly going to miss you. I sure hope you better keep in touch with all of us, because I know you have been such an integral part of the committee for the last 2 years. Your enthusiasm and joy for working with us has been contagious. And so while I know Councillor Bauer will be joining us, and I'm sure she will be amazing, we will very much miss you.
Julia, that is very, very sweet. Thank you for that. Thank you very much. It means a lot to me. Thank you.
Okay.
Julia, I have a question.
Oh, sure.
Go ahead. When will be the letters that you spoke about delivering to the houses? When will that be?
You mean for the donations?
Yeah, you said the letters will be delivered to houses, and there will be a day you will pick it up.
Yeah,
What
so
what day?
those letters, Cephaline, are for, it's for our streets where the counselors do live at. So only if you live in the
Oh,
same street with the counselor, you'll get, it's something more close to your neighbors kind of thing to get them involved. But we didn't do
okay,
one.
thank you.
The one for the entire town went out online on all social medias. So, and
Okay,
but this one, the letters, it's just for our direct neighbors.
okay,
I mean, that sounds
excellent.
kind of bad saying it out loud, but but it's for our streets.
Point 7.7, we have external committee updates. Ray, do we have an update from the Age-Friendly Ajax Steering Committee
Yep.
tonight?
Yes, a bit I do. Last committee meeting we had Laura Ray from the chair of the Ajax Age-Friendly Steering Committee. Wonderful presentations. Let you know what type of work we are doing for the seniors in Ajax. We're doing some great work, and very impressed with the transportation presentation as well. Hopefully they can present at our group. We are doing great work, but we need, as Laura was saying, we are looking into, and as a part of our plan, to have an accountability task force, to not be a committee member of the Ajax Age Friendly Committee, but to be like an audit committee. So you would, if you're interested in becoming a part of the task force, you would meet with Laura, and Laura would be telling you what our plans are, and then you can make other suggestions, etc. And your suggestions will come back to the committee. So it really is like a thinking outside of the committee box, and hopefully making more positive changes to our residents of senior residents of Ajax. Now, what we're going to be doing is we are going out to, we're going to put a note out to the community looking for participants of this task force. But we are specifically looking at committees within Ajax, the Library Older Adult Advisory Committee. We're looking at the Older Adult Recreation Task Force, and we are looking at the Accessibility Committee as well. So we're really looking at one member from each committee. If you're interested in joining the Accountability Task Force, you would have to let us know, not today, but maybe write Sarah an email to say your interest. And then you have to write a letter of intent to join the committee. And when we meet in probably January, we meaning the Age Friendly, will have your name there, and then we'll do next steps of getting a message out to the community. So it is an exciting committee to be on, and I think the Accountability Task Force will be overseeing the committee work. So that's great work as well. So if you're interested, or if you have any questions for me, please let me know. And if you're interested, maybe we can put a name forward. Is that okay, Sarah? Put a name forward to you, and then we can bring it forward to, with the right, letter of intent. I don't know if there's a specific form we have to fill out. I'm not too sure. But, if you're interested, let Sarah know, and then we can take that next step.
That sounds great, Ray. I'm happy to take those letters of interest, and we can coordinate with Laura to see if there's a more formal process, or if it's something where I just pass along the names.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you. And that's, also, I think we should be, I know I did pass on the minutes of the, I think previous, or Laura did the update. And I think the next minutes we get, I think we should be passing on to Accessibility Committee, because there's so many ties between the Age Friendly Committee and the Accessibility Committee. And between Sarah and I, we're keeping nagging about accessibility, and it's coming loud and strong. Thank you.
I love the idea of trading minutes.
Yeah, at least you know what's going on, and I certainly do as well.
Because we don't know what's going on with the other committees.
Exactly.
Not just that one, but you know,
No,
like the rest
I-
of the place.
yeah.
We don't.
Yep.
We don't hear it.
Well, thank you for that. That's actually a really good idea. You're right, Barb. That's a great idea. Thank you, Ray, for presenting those updates. We next have 7.2 Regional Accessibility Advisory Committee update. Roseanne, do you have an update for us this evening?
Yes, just want to get all lighted up here for you. We had our last meeting on November 24th, and that was our last meeting for 2020. So earlier in the year, I had mentioned that there were vacancies in the Durham Regional Accessibility Advisory Committee. And now we are at full capacity. So the 3 new members, I'll say their names because there's many of us who might know them. Ali Beach, she's a volunteer at Durham Deaf Services. Heather Hall, she's a manager at Participation House. And Megan Peters, who's with the Canadian Council for Rehabilitation and Work, the Durham Region office. And so we were able to meet them. Windreach Farms did quite an extensive update and presentation on what they've been doing in response to COVID. So just to give you a little bit, they've actually, they did parking lot sort of visits with the animals. So Windreach Farms, if just for an update, they have a therapeutic riding program, and they have animals and their place is for people with disabilities. It was founded in 1989 by Sandy Mitchell. And they're still operational, just very socially distanced with the animals and everyone else. So I thought that was positive, you know, complying with the COVID measures. And otherwise, we had an update on the Durham Advisory, the services that are open, and discussing the needed supports that people with disabilities may need with respect to even Ontario Works, Durham Transit, basic needs for food and shelter and such. And Doreen DeHume, I think we know, we're familiar with her from Durham Mental Health Services. And Judy Christensen did an update on the survey that was forwarded. Sarah had forwarded that survey to us as well. So our next meeting won't be till next year, and we will be looking at a new multi-year accessibility plan for the Durham region. So I'm looking forward to knowing what that's going to look like too.
I'm very much looking forward to that multi-year accessibility plan as well. I think that will be very interesting for Durham region. 8 on the agenda, other business. Sarah, do we have any other business this evening?
I don't, Madam Chair, but I did see Catherine raise her hand.
Okay, Katrine, please feel free to go ahead.
I picked up my award last night. I just want to thank everyone on the committee for nominating me for the award. And I don't think I'm more deserving than anyone else on the committee. Thank you.
Tell them who gave you the award.
Right, Councillor Khan?
I had the honor of presenting the award.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful.
And I met her beautiful family as well.
Lovely.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Yes, congratulations,
Yes.
Catherine.
Hey, if there are no other business, I just before we adjourn, I would very much like to thank the opportunity for everyone. I've enjoyed being your chair for this year. I thank you all for your grace with me as I've fumbled my way through, especially as we've gone to live stream. So thank you for your support. I've enjoyed it greatly. Looking forward to moving on next year with our next chair, who I understand is going to be Katrine. And so that's great. So I just wanted to thank everyone for a wonderful year, for all your support, and looking very forward to 2021. There's got to be better things. There's been wonderful things that have happened in 2020, but I'm looking forward to returning to normalcy, hopefully at some point in time during 2021. Maybe we can all be back in the River Plate room together again.
Yes.
So on that note, can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting? Oh, and our next meeting, by the way, will be Wednesday, January the 20th. It will tentatively, probably more than likely, be an electronic meeting. So with that, can I have a motion to adjourn, please?
I make the motion.
Okay, can I have a seconder?
I second Steve's.
Okay, a happy holidays to everybody. The meeting is
You too,
adjourned.
and a safe holiday for everybody, please.
Thank you very much.
All right, meeting adjourned.